Hi, Fiends. Thanks for joining me on another episode of DonnaJean's Coffee House of Horror. I am so excited to have the people I have on today, and you will be too. I have Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, Michael Leavy, who has his hand in just about everything with Terrifier and Terrifier 2, and Marcus McGill, who is also one of those behind the scenes kind of people that we're going to have stories for you. So welcome. Hey guys.
What's up?
The last time that we were all together here talking about Terrifier 2 was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago. And here we are. And I mean, this is it is certainly bigger. I think I can't even say than I thought it would be, because I thought it was going to be pretty big and amazing. But man, we're talking now the third week that it's held over in the movie theaters just because people want to keep seeing it. So, Michael, you posted on Facebook this morning a radio blurb.
Yeah,
about
all the radio stations. It's funny, every morning, Damien, I think, said this. It's like Christmas morning when we're waking up, because we don't know what's going to happen next, really, and where this thing's going to go and how far it's going to expand. And already it's just catapulted into this level that we had always hoped for and dreamed, but never actually fathomed it really happening. I mean, we knew we had something successful in that, how hard we worked, and we knew we had something that, there's the cat.
Yep.
And we knew we had something that we were proud of and something special. But again, you don't know how the world's going to take it. And this is done times a billion.
Girl. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so the radio stations are all picking it up. And this morning was Q 1043, which is Light FM. There was Z100 here, Elvis Duran, the morning show. So it's and the CBS show talked about it, the talk. So it's just kind of just snowballing, and it's just absolutely amazing that people are hearing about Terrifier, because a lot of people worked really, really, really hard on this film, and I'm just happy and proud for everyone.
Yes, indeed.
Those of us who knew you saw Terrifier, of course, but also had talked to you and had it all built up and we're all excited. I knew Sienna was going to be this like overboard, amazing Valkyrie-like final girl, but really knowing that and then seeing it, it's just like, it's so like mind-blowing. And I have to admit, I shut my eyes during certain parts. I did. But the story around it, it's like just amazing, and all out of not only the mind of Damien, but also what you all brought into it as yourselves. And you all keep saying, because of you. And I don't think everybody really understands the difference between the indie film and like the big filmmakers. Could you explain that a little bit?
I guess, yeah, I'll start. And then
I'm kind of throwing it in everybody's direction, but we'll start with you, Michael, if that's okay.
Yeah, so that's what it is there's no studio behind us. And the thing is, when you have a major studio like Universal or Warner Brothers or Disney, they have a ton of money, really a unlimited amount of money that they could just throw at a marketing campaign. They could throw on problems. They could throw on fires. They could throw on anything they want to kind of make things happen or not happen. And that's the thing is with Terrifier 2, it is just so organic what's happening, that this is really driven by the fans. We were only supposed to be in the theaters for one day at first. It was just a special showing on a Thursday night. And then it went to the weekend. And then it went to Tuesday. And then it went to the following weekend. And now we're going on week 3. And they're talking about extending it again. And this is because it is purely fan driven. And this all starts with our first fan base from Terrifier 1 driving those numbers and coming out in force to see this film and then telling their friends. And now it's just this organic snowball effect where it's like, oh, I have to see this now. And now it's just, you can't buy this kind of marketing, or you really can't. And it's all like this vomiting in the theater and fainting in the theater. It is the most brilliant marketing campaign in the world, and it would be awesome if we came up with it. But it's all real. It's so true. We couldn't believe when we saw what was happening, because they're tweeting at us and tagging us, and then we're just relaying what we're seeing happen in real life.
It's
We
insane.
haven't seen something like that since The Exorcist, really.
No.
Kind of a shocking.
That's what I thought was so funny. Like when they talked about this on the talk yesterday, and Jerry O'Connell even says, like, whoever is doing the publicity for this is a genius. I'm like, it's no one. this is just all real. It's like Damien even showed me some video someone took of someone in the middle of the movie. It looks like they're having a seizure or something
in the chair, like
and I'm like, what is? And it's funny too, because it's the scene where Allie's going, "What are you doing?" It's just this guy just like shaking like crazy. I'm like, this is unheard of, because you haven't heard about this happening since like The Exorcist or maybe Blair Witch Project. That might be the latest time that you heard something like this.
But even I think with Blair Witch, they ended up getting a major studio behind them. And Paranormal Activity, it was like, that was an independent film, and then a studio came in and did this giant marketing push. With this, it's really just shows the efforts of everybody involved. If you make a good film that is going to have a response to it, it could happen. I mean, it's like catching lightning in a bottle, but all the pieces came together of what Damien did and what we all brought to the table, and everybody else. And it just kind of, it worked the way we should have, or what we hope it to, and then some.
Oh, it's made everybody curious to see the film. I think those that were on the fence are now like, I got to see what everybody's talking about. I got to see why people were saying people are puking and passing out and stuff like it. So it is. It's brilliant, but it's real. That's a real campaign that's going on, and it's all been made by the fans, just people tweeting about their experiences at the film. It's like I wish we had that kind of budget to put into this kind of marketing campaign, but we don't. So
maybe by the time the Terrifier 3 comes along, everybody will be so on board, like, we want more of this.
Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting to see happen too, because this is an unrated film. And like this, I remember way back when we were just starting to make this, and I was asking Damien, like, so do you think we're going to be able to put it in theaters this time? And he's like, I seriously doubt it, because this will never get past the MPAA to get an R rating. And I think I made like the comment back then, like something like, well, if we have to release it in NC-17, let's be the most successful NC-17 movie ever put in theaters. Let's go ahead and see what happens here. But to just be released unrated is unheard of. Really,
I didn't even know until that was a thing. I thought you had to get rated to get into screening, into the theater, and clearly that's not the case. But and I don't know why more films honestly aren't trying that. I mean, maybe we changed the game. Maybe it'll.
I think we did.
I really think you did.
I think the MPA is like, they, just like all theater branches, they want butts and seats, so they're looking at the bottom line, and they figure a film like this, an unrated film like this, wouldn't be as successful as, say, a Smile or a Barbarian or something like this. So they took a risk on this film, and it's paying off. So like they said, it definitely would change the game.
Oh yeah, I think a lot more people are gonna be like, wow, we can actually release our film unrated, and it might actually be successful. So I think this is going to be a game changer in a lot of ways, especially for the horror genre, because people are like, wow, we can actually get away with stuff and actually be successful.
I did an interview with Michael Hargrove, who was in the new Candyman. And he said that he was, it hasn't been released yet, but it will be in like a week or two. And one of the things he said is he wanted to get in some indie films. And I said, you got to contact the Fuzz on the Lens guys. And I told them a bit about what you've done, and told them how much of a game changer it really was seeing all of this happen. It's not just like the indie community, which is a little community unto itself. and we all know each other and the filmmakers and the actors, but this is so much bigger than that. And, yeah, I didn't know that movies could be released without a rating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't want you to know that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, it's going to, hopefully it opens it up for independent filmmakers just in general, because I think that there's a lot of untapped resources and there's a lot of really good indie films that aren't able to come out. And if we were able to kind of pioneer this route to allow more films beyond just the studio films to really have a voice, and I'm so excited for just those movies and those opportunities as a fan of independent film myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what I was just going to say about it. It really did opened up potential, I think, for people that did not know was out there.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. You see so many people and they find humor in the horror. And it's like, okay, just even like those little sunglasses. And that's not horror, because you can't look on social media without seeing somebody wearing the art sunglasses.
I got them around here somewhere.
The humor in touch with the horror is kind of like, wow. I mean, we've had that. Exactly. And Marcus comes with his little sunglasses. Yeah. David, how much of art was you? How much was it bringing your kind of sense of who art is and that wackiness to him?
It's hard to say now, because Damien and I really just totally interact with each other so much about art. We're always talking about things, discussing things, where to go with them, what to do with them, and stuff like that. But I mean, it's probably at least 50-50 with us.
Mm-hmm.
So where it's like, he knows exactly how he wants art to be in a scene, but a lot of times he also gives me the freedom just to play around with the things he does to get to the places he wants art to be in the scene. I guess if that makes sense. It's like, or like just my.
As I was saying, as an outsider seeing that process from the two of them, like being on set every day, it really is very collaborative in what Damien and Dave do. And that, I think it's very hard to pinpoint like how much of art is here and how much of art is like. Damien obviously created the look and the character, and he knows that what he wants, he does. But then he says, all right, Dave goes, what about this? And Damien says, no. And then on top of what he just said, what about this? Then Damien adds something, and then he spins off another way, and it evolves into what you get on camera and in the scene. And it's an amazing thing, as just somebody who's there, just seeing the two of them kind of figure it out together.
Yeah, I'm like always checking in with him. It's like, how do you want my eyes for this? How do you want my smile to be? This, like, there's, because especially for like the more serious scenes, that's his area to shine in. I think Damien really knows how to scare people really well, and that's something I learned to do, just to trust him with in the first film. I always like to reference the scene where I'm just standing there frozen, and I remember even just reading that in the script, I'm like, what the heck is this? And that we're even doing it, I'm like, I feel so stupid doing this right now. He's like, no, trust me, when it's all edited together and everything like that, it's gonna work. I'm like, okay. And then I see it. I'm like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He totally knows what he's talking about. I was like, it just felt weird as an actor just to be standing there just doing that. So I was like, okay. But that's the thing. He knows what he wants in a lot of those cases, and he'll tell me. And then sometimes like, okay, I'll do what he wants me to do. And then I'm like, okay, now David, do your own thing with it. And then I'll play around with and maybe do some alternate takes and stuff like that, just to see what works in that situation. So he has different things to go off of when he's doing that whole editing process.
Mm-hmm.
Just watching his the 3 days we were in Jersey, the club scene, and David he was there as an extra that night. We were in the back together, but just to see how Damien directed and seeing a scene with her freaking out and just seeing his thought process. You'll see him step back and just sitting there and just looking and looking, and everybody's like, okay, What is he going to do next? What does he want her to do next? And he just trusts his actors to just run with it. You know, he'll set up the space, but then allow them to just do their thing and act and just be themselves in the scene and get lost in the scene. So I like that type of director. You know,
oh yeah,
he trusts his actors.
He's very, very actor friendly director, as is Mike as well. It's just like but I think Mike, you're like that too because you're an actor as well, so you know what us actors appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I it's funny because when working with Damien too as a director, I always try to see what I can do differently and what I can take and something that I don't think Damien gets enough credit for beyond being an actor's director too is he's so intuitive to his shots and his movements of shots and bringing from point A to point B. And then it's like, okay, we need a shot here, and we need a shot here, and we need a shot here. And it's like 3 shots. And as an AD, I'm going crazy. Like, oh my God, now they're like 40 shots. And
like water on a window.
Yeah, right. He's so meticulous to this detail because, like how I am, he's cutting the movie in his head. So he knows exactly that vision he wants. So that's something I had taken from him, just this meticulous on the shots and the reasoning why you do this and you do this and how you cover this. So I don't think he gets enough credit for that portion of his directing. It's very, 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 sharp.
Yeah.
And I mean, from what I witnessed too, it doesn't take. I mean, I don't know how it was for the other sets and other days, but it didn't seem like he spends a lot of time and wasting a lot of takes either.
Unless he wants water dripping from the window.
That sounds like a story.
Yeah. So it's in the bedroom scene with Allie, and it's when it's before the mayhem starts, and there's a dolly shot that starts on maybe her door on a sign or something, and it's panning left to land on her working on her witch's costume at the desk, and there's a window that you see maybe this much of a slither outside. And it's nighttime. We're shooting upstate in this town called Canajoharie, and it's the ending of the movie. It's raining. This day it wasn't raining. So continuity, you need rain. Great. We're working in a studio set that we built in a barn, so there's no running water. So it's not like you can get a hose and make it look like it's raining outside easily. You have to get, water and transport it from across the street, which is across like a little highway, which is in like this little RV, fill up and we don't have jugs. We got little, what are they? Water bottles, and you're running them over. Right. So me and Scott, the PA, are outside and we're pouring the water out of the water bottle. So you can see through this little crack, it's raining. We must have done 21 takes of this shot like that, of moving through, because Damien wanted to see more water, and we're freezing. It is below zero. It's upstate, and we're like pouring. He's like, I don't see it. You don't see it. We are covered. We are drenched. We are soaked. I don't know how he doesn't see the water coming through. Mind you, I find out months later he used like take 3.
Yeah. Yep.
And you see it ever so slightly glint off the top, off the side, but it's like, dude, a little sound effect there, a little one drop, we could move on.
Yeah.
We burnt a lot, but you know what it was? He becomes so detail oriented. But I think that's one he'll kind of laugh about and say maybe he got a little too hyper focused. I don't know.
That was definitely one of his Kubrick moments there. That was just like he has those from time to time. It's so funny. I like remember when we're just setting up like the corners kill and just the different instruments on the table at one point, and he was just going back and forth, like just moving an instrument like a fraction of an inch, just like, okay. And he goes, looks at it again, nope, and moves it just a little bit more, and I'm like, nope. I was like, Jesus.
Sometimes we all get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Like we were just doing a shoot in Staten Island. Marcus, you were there, and I got caught up in a moment too. And my DP Steve Delasala was just like, Mike, this is like crazy now, and you just kind of sometimes get stuck in your own head, and you don't realize, because and it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it does.
But he knows how he wants the shot to look, and that's right. What it is. And I think also maybe with that medical instrument, we were dealing with a lot of reflections too, because it was metal. So it's like he might have been just trying to get it where it's not reflecting anything that, you know, we didn't need to be seeing in the shot and stuff like that. But it was just so funny because like it is every time we're about to start rolling, he's like, wait. And he goes over and just adjusts it again. He's like, are we ready now?
So you guys were, before we started recording this, someone had asked you about the Queen Phoenix poster. So what was that all about? That was behind Sienna in her room.
I guess. So what happened was George, who's the DP of Terrifier, George likes to have these pranks that he ends up face tuning everybody that's on set, and he'll send them in like group chats to each other. So, you know, he'll turn someone into they have a mustache. He'll make someone heavier. He'll make someone skinnier. He'll make someone old. He'll make someone a baby. He'll turn men into women, women into men. And so that Queen Phoenix he had done as a goof with Damien and turned her into a girl. I remember Phil seeing it and saying, "Oh, he don't look half bad as a girl. You know, I would date him if he was a girl." And then Olga took the image and actually blew it up and put it on a poster and called it Queen Phoenix, as if this was Sienna's band or, you know, group or singer that she loves. And it became like a little joke between everybody and something really cool that ended up now it's kind of catching fire, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, I loved it when I was like went in the room the first time after they had set everything up, and they're like, "So do you see the Easter egg to Damien?" And I'm staring right at it, and I'm like, "I don't see it." They're like, "Dave, it's right in front of you." I'm like, "Where? Where is this thing?" It's like it's literally staring you in the face. I'm like, "Where?" And they're like, "It's the poster." I'm like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" It's just I love that though. It's
And
a
once
fun
you
little
saw it,
cameo.
you couldn't unsee it. So
yeah, and
T-shirts and mugs.
Yeah, it's like there are different little Easter eggs like that. Like, I mean, you hear Mike's voiceover in the club scene is the DJ and stuff like that. And you hear my voice is the cereal announcer for Art Krispies. So it's just like,
So you know, okay, we don't want to give any spoilers away or anything. But in my mind, I've already started to see, you know, being the big convention buff and working at a bunch of conventions, especially Monster Mania. I've seen Art the Clowns, I've seen Sienna's, and now we're seeing the Pale Girl.
yes.
So how awesome is that? You know, you have to know how, or at least feel like, wow, we've really created something. When people are going and saying, man, I need to dress up like that because that's really just scary as hell.
Yeah. And it was so quick too. It's like this past weekend. It's like the movie had only been out for basically a week in theaters, and there was already a group that dressed as Art, Sienna, and Pale Girl, and it was so good. I'm like, I understand the girl that dressed up as Sienna made her costume overnight. And I was like, that's impressive.
We should have hired her to do ours.
No kidding. I know. I was actually, when I first saw that, I was like, how did she make that thing?
I wonder how it held up. That's the trick.
Yeah. No kidding. I was like, this is so freaking cool that this happened so quickly. And especially with Pale Girl, because that's like a character like I am still...
Shut up, Dave. And here's a cameo.
You go away. I'm just amazed we were able to keep that character, you know, hidden for so long. I was so sure she was going to be leaked before the movie came out, and no, I love that first reaction when the crowd sees her for the first time. They're just like this, like, what the?
One of my
I'm actually shocked too because everything gets leaked out. Everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm all the more impressed. I already just loved you guys, the whole group of Fuzz on the Lens, the way you work together. You're like a family, you know, and you just like, you look out for each other. You kind of know what's going to work. You talk about it. And then when I saw that, I thought, how did nobody hear about this?
Yeah.
One of my aunts, her coworkers contacted me. They're, you know, married couple, late 60s. they're going on a vacation, going on a cruise, but it's like a Halloween cruise.
Oh,
and
fun.
so the husband is like, yeah, Marcus, your aunt gave me your information. I'm dressing up as Art, and my wife is going to dress up as the little pale girl. And mind you, these are like, almost 70-year-old.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
And I said, wow, that's amazing.
That's great. I love it. I love that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I don't know, since Damien was unable to be here today and Lauren was unable to be here, and we miss them and we love them.
Yeah.
But you guys are here. So do you have any thoughts that you can share or are willing to share about Terrifier 3?
Oh, it's definitely going to happen.
Oh, it has to.
Oh, it's definitely especially now since we've been so successful. It's like that is duh. That's definitely going to happen. I mean, even the film, there's a post-credits scene that leads straight into part 3, and so there's. Especially, I have to go up against a certain person now for part 3. I'm so stoked about that. So I'm like, we set that up. I'm like, yeah, well, we have to have a fight between those two. So
yeah, Damien has a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts that a lot he's sharing, a lot he's still holding back, a lot he's probably thinking about, and I think as time kind of goes on, he has it all mapped out in his head what he wants to do. Yeah. And he's discussed a lot of it with us at different points, and so we have an idea of where it's going. But at the same token, he's smart enough to leave his ideas open-ended to see kind of how the audience reacts and what works and what doesn't. I mean, this is the exact thing he did with Terrifier 1. He took to heart, as you can see, a lot of the criticism from 1 and worked on those things, like more story and, more character development and, trying to top the hacksaw scene and all of these things. So he really listens to his fans and then, really tries to then execute those things and those ideas and then incorporate them to what he has in his own mind.
Yeah.
It's funny that before it actually came out, there was so much criticism about how long it is. And after I saw it, it was like, but how could they end it there?
Yeah.
It was almost like it could have been another 2.5 hours because it was kind of like the end of it was the birth of another whole tale.
Yeah.
Quite literally there. But
yeah.
but so much more untold that you then read into the story that you just watched, especially like about Sienna's dad and all this and what's all this about, and just so much.
And Damien did a for the Blu-ray or for the DVD, he did a commentary, and there's a lot that he kind of uncovers and unfolds and like the meanings of things, and he goes into a lot more detail on why certain things were done or where they may be going, or some things that might be unclear. So that's going to be something I think for any fan to dive into and kind of get a little bit more into what we were doing and why we did it that way, and what the reasoning behind a lot of it was or is.
Yeah, I think that's been funny. Like the main criticism we have gotten is a lot of people are like, "Oh, there's so many unanswered questions." I'm like, "Yeah, we're not answering everything at the very beginning of the story." Yeah, I mean that's how stories go. It's not like this is just one condensed story for one film. We want this to be an ongoing tale going on, so we're going to reveal more as it goes on, and just have patience. It's not like J.K. Rowling revealed everything at the beginning of Harry Potter. You had 7 books. Not that we're going to have 7 films or anything like that, but that's just how ongoing stories go, and that's what I'm excited to explore more of these unanswered questions. Because I even have some questions too that he hasn't completely answered to me yet either. So I'm like, okay, I'm excited.
Right. Well, we were kind of talking, we, like those of us Terrifier lovers, and Damien had said before at the one interview we did 1 million years ago, or 3 years ago, that he wanted there to be 3 movies. And so we kind of touched on that even before we knew that there were going to be all these untolds, at the end here. So we kind of knew, but boy, the depth of his story is, it's people will probably say, well, I don't know, but it's so Hitchcock in a way, because you see all this depth at the end that when you're watching the blood and guts and the gore and the mashed potatoes, you're not really thinking about the depth, but it's all there interwoven in it, so it's like, so I am comparing Damien.
Very much so.
But
there is a lot of depth, especially like just the whole Sienna story. It's like, well, all that's going on there is like, why is she having these visions and stuff like that? Why did her dad have these visions as well? It's like, how are they all able to see the pale girl when no one else can see her except for Art? It's like a lot of interesting questions to explore there.
And her brother is, he's another character that that there's so much more to than meets the eye. You work with some really talented young people.
No kidding. I mean, like Amelie, who plays the pale girl now, is on General Hospital. We have of course, Elliot has got his own like recording deal now. We had Griffin Sapero that was on Cobra Kai is one of his friends. Owen, who is also one of his friends, was in Psycho Goreman. It's like, wow, these kids, they're something else.
Wesley with Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course. Yes. Wes, of course. Our little serial boy. He's on Broadway, right now.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is amazing. These kids have got better careers than the rest of us.
Starting early.
Yeah. Lucky little devils.
Quite literally in some cases.
Yeah.
Did you have any input on the casting of the young people? Was there any interaction to see how things would flow, or was it just kind of like, okay, these kids are amazing, they're in?
Well, I didn't have direct input. I mean, I had no say in the casting, but Damien would send me because I just wanted to know. I was very curious in the casting, not just the kids, but of like Sienna and Brooke and Allie as well. And he would send me the different, videos of like who he was really strongly looking at. And sometimes between one or two people, he's like, what do you think? And I remember, especially with Elliot, that's one I really pushed hard for, because I really liked what he brought to the character. He just reminded me a lot of myself. And one thing I'm always very particular about when I see casting of families in movies and TV series is I want families to actually look like their families. And Elliot and Lauren looked so much like brother and sister. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. But I know there was like some people were a little bit hesitant with Elliot because he was growing at the time and he was already about to be taller than Lauren. And I was like, that's the thing. It's like, well, you know what? At that age, that's when that starts to happen anyway.
That's why there's also that throwaway line in the movie that was there. Did you grow two sizes since dinner? And it was because he was growing while we were shooting. It's funny because that was a concern of all of ours. Like Damien and Jason worked very closely on the casting. Like they were like putting all of this together. And to what Dave was saying, they would kind of come down to like a few people, one or two, or sometimes three. And then, obviously it's Damien's ultimate choice in the end, but they would kind of work it down together to this smaller group of people and then kind of show all of us like, hey, what do you think? And that's, again, to this collaborative effort that I was talking about before, is that this whole process is very collaborative. And, in the end, obviously there's a say that Damien's vision, he's going to go with it, but he's very open and likes to hear feedback on all of this stuff. But for Elliot, I remember that conversation coming up a few times because it was between him and one other person. And it was constantly, the pros and the cons of both. And just, is one's, I don't want to get into it, but, and then all of a sudden that big one was, Elliot was grown, but he was a great, fantastic, just how it all kind of came. And we went with the right person for sure. Damien, everyone wanted him. And thank God we got him.
And there was like, also like two auditions that I saw that I was just like, absolutely, like, you have to hire these people. Do it now, do it now, do it now. You know, it was pull the trigger, you know, type thing. It was like with Lauren's performance, when I first saw her audition, I was like, oh my God, that is definitely Sienna. And then also Kaylee's performance as Brooke. Because I loved her audition because she was the only person of all the ones I saw where she was eating during the audition. And I love that character choice that she did there because it's the whole cookie scene that she was reading. And I was like, she actually just brought a cookie and was eating the cookie during it. And she was just so naturally funny. And it's like, I don't think she gets enough love for what she brought to Brooke. Because Brooke could have been such a token, just annoying, bitchy character.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought so much heart and humor to that character. It's like the scene between her and Charlie, who plays Jeff, them in the car together, the chemistry between those two was so good. I was dying when I saw the footage of them. I was like, my God, they're just so natural.
There's charisma between them that you just can't fake. And it was like Dave was saying, like, we were all, blown away by everybody in the cast, but we were, you know, with Kaylee, I'm just surprised no one has been talking about her as much as she deserves to be talked about, because her performance, she really brought 110%. She's so talented.
Yeah. They're all so talented. I'm like, we
think
just
everybody's
lucked
kind
out.
of taking a step back just because, like, okay, let me get my brains back in my head.
Yeah.
You know, and, like, on second viewing, kind of look at, you know, take in some of the other stuff.
Everyone, we really down the check to everybody. It was just perfectly cast, and everybody brought their A game. There really is no weak point at all.
No,
as far as I'm concerned, you know, and what everyone else seems to be saying too is you know, we hit it on this one with the casting for sure.
Also, I think Barbara doesn't get enough love either, because I'm just like, it's like I think that's such a multi-dimensional character, because a lot of people say, oh, she's so angry. It's like, but yet, do you realize why she's so angry and upset during most of this movie? It's like, this is a woman who lost her husband recently, is having to hold everything together. You know, now she's the sole breadwinner in the family, trying to, you know, balance that, trying to raise 2 kids, and then all this stuff is happening in one day, and she is just hanging on by a thread. Yeah, it's just, I love that character, and I love that moment between, like, her and Sienna, where, you know, that whole "I love you, Mom" saying it with it's like there's a little bit of final closure between the two of them before certain event happens. And I was like, oh God, it's such a good moment. And I'm so glad we have that moment in there, because that shows a little bit more depth to Barbara. And it's very simple, but it shows the real relationship between the two of them. It's like, it's not always like that with her and her kids. This is just a day where everything is going bad, and she's about to have a psychotic breakdown.
Well, not only that, I told somebody in the theater that they were saying, well, why is she always yelling and things like this? And I said, well, I asked them, I said, how old are you? And they were roughly the same age as us. And I said, well, you're an 80s baby. I'm an 80s baby. Our parents were different back then compared to parents are today. They're more passive today. I said back then the parents were a little bit more stern, a little bit more vocal, you know, even sometimes pop you upside the head when you talk out the side of your mouth. You know, so I was like, that was authentic. That her performance reminded me of my own mother, you know, and I told her that at the event. And like you said, it was just perfect casting across.
Oh, that moment where she pops Sienna in the head when she's getting that piece of chicken. I'm just like, that cracks me up every time. I mean, like, that's such a real moment. I've gotten that pop in the head from my mom so many times growing up.
And she gives it to Jonathan real good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I had that moment with my mom too. The one time I called my mom a bitch. Yeah. One time.
There it was.
Yeah, I was like, I got slapped in the face. Next thing I knew, I was flying across the room because my dad threw me across the room. I was like, whoa, I learned that lesson real quick. But it's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, that's such a real moment. And I love seeing it. It's not one of those Hollywood type of scripted moments. It's like, these family scenes are really real moments. Yeah. Like that, you know, Jonathan just shouting at the bottom of the staircase is like, like with him peeping on, you know, what's going on with Sienna. And it's like, but you mean I still have to go to school? I love those moments in it.
Mhm.
And Lauren played that so perfectly with Sienna because she didn't make herself the victim of the lost mom. You could see all the feelings she had, the stress she had, but also at the same time that she still loved her mom and knew what her mom was going through. So it was she just played Sienna so perfectly. I can't imagine this being anybody else having filled those shoes.
This movie would not have been nearly as good without the performance that Lauren gave in it. Everything. I mean, that was something we talked about, before we cast her and stuff like that. It was just like, this movie's going to hinge on whoever we cast for Sienna. It's like, we have to cast someone that is just amazing and can do everything. And we lucked out because the performance Lauren gives is just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And one of my favorite parts is just the scene where she just breaks down after realizing what happened to her mom. And I was like, oh God, it gets me every single time. It's such a real moment there. And she's just so good. She's so good. And it's like, it's great to have such a worthy opponent now. I'm excited to see where things are going to go forward with us.
You don't think Will the Exterminator was a worthy opponent?
God, no.
That's child's play for him.
If he wasn't playing with dolls the whole time.
I got killed by a freaking doll.
I have one thing I want to run past you guys, and then I'm going to ask you a bit if you could mention Stream, which is another thing that you are working on together. So the one thing I want to bring up and past you is Monster Mania. David, you're going to be attending Monster Mania in Oaks, Pennsylvania, the beginning of November. And let's see, that's going to be you and Lauren, Damien, and Elliot.
Yes.
And I'm kind of, hopefully we'll get a couple of other people invited in there as well, or at least hanging out in the backgrounds. And so, I know you're going to do the infamous Art the Clown in costume cosplay, or not cosplay, Art the Costume for the photo op.
Yes.
I am in the back of my mind, I'm kind of waiting for them to start doing a Sienna photo op. I mean, not necessarily that Lauren would have to run around the whole day in her skimpy thing.
Yeah, I don't think she wants to wear that thing again.
But she could also do the sweater too. So
there's
a throw out there.
That's so much easier for her to do and so much more comfortable for her to do. It's like I know she hated wearing that Valkyrie costume because that thing was held together with duct tape and wires mainly.
And every day it got worse and worse and worse. Yeah. And it was dust, basically almost. It was like this thing would just look great, just enough for the take, and then we'd have to pull her away to fix it again for the next take.
Yep.
I'm happy that's over with too.
Oh God, just doing the fight scenes, that was just. Because it's like we'd do one take, then oh God, this piece fell off. Now we have to go glue it, and
sometimes the spike would fall off, like the little spikes would break.
Yeah.
The pieces in the front, the long pieces in the chain that would bust.
Mm-hmm. Everything would bust.
She was so physical, so keeping that together while she's running around and just like, whoa. Yeah. So you guys out there watching, come on out to Monster Mania in Oaks, Pennsylvania at the convention center and see these guys.
Yeah. It's my first Monster Mania too, so I'm excited about that.
I've been hoping to get you in Monster Mania for a long time. That's my home con, and I work at the VIP table. Come say hello.
Over there. At least on my screen.
Oh my gosh, I see it.
You the Brady Bunch.
So now, do you want to talk a little bit about Stream since we have a little bit of time? Because that's something else that is just exciting and awesome and that people can also get involved with happening.
Sure. Yeah. So after we all shot Terrifier 2, and the pandemic was rip roaring. The entire crew pretty much decided to come over. The exact crew, all the producers and a lot of the makeup, like everybody pretty much, came over, and we worked on a project called Stream that myself and Fuzz and the Lens have been putting together now for a few years. David is also a part of that as well. Damien does all the effects, so you know it's going to deliver on the blood, guts, and gore. And it's a fun, another horror movie, another franchise we're trying to boot up off the ground. We ended up, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, having to do things like HEPA filters, PPE, COVID tests, and that kind of made the budget go way beyond what we had ever thought. So to recoup some of those funds that we had to pull from post-productions, we ended up launching an Indiegogo campaign last year to give horror fans a chance to jump on board with us and help us make this thing. As you can see, a lot of our movies are really fan-driven. We're not a big studio. We don't have all this money. It's just at our fingertips. So, we really got to take what resources we have and maximize them, and then also rely on our fans. And, they came through again, just like they did with Terrifier. And we raised a really good amount of funds, additional to what we had initially. And it's still open. We left it open because we still have a few little things that we're buttoning up, and we want to just give any chance to anybody to jump on board last minute. We got a great cast with Jeffrey Combs, Danielle Harris, Tim Reed, Tony Todd, Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan, Mark Holton. I don't want to say anybody I'm not supposed to. Dee Wallace. Just a ton of really, really talented people from the horror genre are involved in this. It's a fun, unique story. It's a modernized slasher. It's totally different from what we do with Terrifier, but it still has the, delivers on the horror and the goods and the blood and the gore. Because again, Damien's doing all the effects, and you have the same team that's behind Terrifier and Terrifier 2 working on it. But other than that, it's a totally different story that's not Terrifier 3. And I think something that hopefully the horror, community will be able to get behind and enjoy another production from Fuzz and the Lens.
Yeah. There are so many people in that it's just, you hear their name and you think, oh, I need to see that. And dare I say, David and Damien's names are on that list now. Oh man, David Howard Thornton's in that. I got to see that one now.
Yeah,
and definitely. You have other people who are beloved by the horror community in Stream. So it sounds. Hopefully, the next time we do this, we're talking about Stream. It'll be a little bit closer, and we can talk about
keep the ball rolling. There's so many things we can't talk about yet still. Right. Obviously now you see we can hold some secrets regarding the Pale Girl and things like that. So there are other things involved with Stream as well that we can't talk about and don't want to talk about until the movie's out. And I'm just excited, really, really excited to get this out to the world for everybody to see. Dave has another killer, pun intended, performance where he knocks it out of the park again, and he does, some different stuff. And, I'm just really excited. And the kills are awesome. I know Damien's really excited for the world to see some of those unique, fun. And so, we're getting close. And hopefully this time next year, we'll be talking Stream.
Mm-hmm. And as someone who witnessed everything for a week, just the brilliance of Mike's direction and the crew, it's just amazing to watch. It was a learning experience for me. I mean, one, they kind of saved my lives. I was fresh out of the hospital from COVID, and they allowed me to be there. They looked after me, and I just learned a lot. And going forward with my career, I got these guys to rely on, and hopefully be on the journey with them for other projects as well. So
it's kind of wild that we're basically starting our own little studio system out over here. It's just like kind of cool.
Yep, keeping it in house.
But then they all look great too, right? I mean, De Niro and Scorsese and Pesci, they all work together, and you got Adam Sandler and his team, and they all work together, and Blumhouse and their team all work together. So it's you find people you can trust that will deliver, and you have a good time working with. I mean, we couldn't have gotten through what we gotten through with Terrifier for all those years and all those hours if we didn't like the company we were with and constantly laughing and having a good time while working and getting accomplished what we needed to. It would have been brutal. We were literally doing 23-hour days, 23-hour days, sleep for like 4 hours and turn around and do it again. And, you couldn't do that with people that, you didn't enjoy being around, at least for, a A little bit.
Yeah.
So I think, let's see, do we have anything else we want to cover before we end up having to, okay. You guys have any filming of Terrifier stories that you would like to share?
I had another cop experience.
Oh.
Yeah, while we're doing the laundromat scene, we did some exterior shots of me walking into the laundromat, so I'm covered in blood.
Unexpected. I have to say, unexpected. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And someone, I guess, reported a clown covered in blood going into this laundromat. So we're filming, and the cops show up while I'm basically just covering myself up with a newspaper and nothing else, covered in blood from head to toe. And Damien's like, "Oh, here we go again. Hey, Dave, why don't you mess with the cops this time?" I'm like, "No." No. It was like this female officer comes in, and she's like, "So we were getting this report. There was a clown covered in blood that came in here," and I just kind of leaned forward. I'm like, "Hi."
This is like a thing. This is like a thing with Dave now that I'm realizing, because it happened in Terrifier 1, right? The cops showed up. Happens in Terrifier 2, the cops show up. And in Stream, the cops didn't show up, but there was a gun that showed up at a peephole where they almost were going to go after you because you scared the daylights out of them in the lawn.
So I guess almost dying is a good thing for me.
It's a good thing for the movie because it becomes successful, I guess. So.
Yeah. It's a good trend to have. So yeah. It's like
on this radio blurb that Michael played this morning on Facebook, they talked about a Staten Island clown walking around the radio stations. Was that you guys behind that?
So yeah, we were. Fuzz on the Lens was behind the clown sightings in 20 whatever year it was, 13, 14, somewhere around there, and we had started those viral clown sightings, and this thing really exploded into something huge. And we were in the radio station when we announced that it was us, going around to Q1043, Z100, Inside Edition, and like we had this press circuit of when we were announcing it was us and scaring everybody. And I'm surprised that they actually remembered and put that all together, that we were the ones that did that, and then we were part of the production company and producers for Terrifier 2.
Well, you clearly made them stand up and notice, because the one woman said, "He was scary. I don't like clowns as it is, but that guy."
And it's funny because it was so totally unrelated. When we did it, we weren't even a part of Terrifier. Wasn't even a thing yet. Damien was still working on those shorts, or maybe trying to do the feature. So it was before any of this. So it was funny that we ended up getting known and viral for a clown, and then ends up Damien's working on this scary clown, and then we work together, and it pops even more. And it's just like, so, it's, I guess, meant to be.
Yep. It's very serendipitous.
The scary clowns that are so unnatural and so many people have a phobia about anyway, including myself, not being a fan of clowns. But you bring unnatural clowns to a whole new level. That's for sure.
I will say it was surreal at the red carpet event, and even the viewings that I had seen here at home. Seeing myself briefly on the screen next to David in the club scene, when you see Sienna freak out, I was like, "Oh shit! I didn't think they were gonna put me." You see the orange mask and you see the rain poncho, and you just see me standing behind her looking creepy. I was like, "Oh man, it's awesome." So very surreal.
Or are you going to hang out at Monster Mania and be with the background actor people, huh?
If they have me, if I could get
print out your stills and start signing them.
If I get that mask from the selfie guy, Rick, he still has the mask for me.
Oh, Lord knows he's profiting enough off of it.
He's incredible. I can't wait for his documentary to come out.
Oh my God.
He's so cool. He's hilarious. Love him to death.
It cracks me up.
We are down to 5 minutes before we have to go. Do the three of you have any closing remarks you'd like to make to the people out there?
Well, I just want to say thank you to the fans for making it what it is. I mean, what little part that I had in it as a fan. I'm just grateful that these guys allow me to be a part of it, and I have lifelong friends in them now, you know, so I'm grateful for that. And again, just keep going to see it and keep allowing it to grow, you know.
Yeah. I echo that too. The big thank you to the fans, because this none of this would have been possible without the fans at all. Not the funding for the film, now not the success of the film. So it's this big, great amount of debt to you guys. So thank you. Also wanted to let you know, got another film coming out in December. That's where I'm actually going off to right now. I got to do an interview for that, but it's The Mean One. It's going to be coming out in December for free online. So I play a certain green mean one. It's pure parody, pure camp. It's a fun little take on the Grinch legend with a slasher film twist to it. So expect that soon. And I also have another film I'm going to be filming early next year called The Dead Place that we're in the middle of doing an Indiegogo campaign for right now. So if you're able to contribute to that, I really appreciate it. You know, it's like that's the Indiegogo campaign for Terrifier 2 is what helped us get where we are now. So if maybe we can do the same thing for Dead Place.
Dead Place.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to the fans again. If you haven't seen it in theaters, see it. If you have seen it and you want to see it again, go see it before it leaves. All of this again is so unprecedented. It helps. And another thing that's not talked about enough, we're number 13 on the most popular movies on IMDb. This is so hard to do. Click that IMDb link, click that Terrifier 2, click everybody that's involved. Let's push everybody up, because again, this is unprecedented, and people are starting to, see this. And if we as a community do this, we can get more great independent horror out there.
Yes.
So everybody out there, to kind of go back and say, yep, as Michael said, if you haven't seen Terrifier 2, get out and see it. If you have, get out and see it again. And pretty soon it's going to be out on Screambox, right?
Correct.
So that way you have a chance to watch it yet again. Come to Monster Mania. See these guys in Oaks, Pennsylvania.
And write to Monster Mania if you want to see me there. Just fly.
Michael Leavy, thank you guys so much for showing up, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.